You know, I sat at home yesterday and I spent all day trying to figure out why every time we take 2 steps forward, we figure out a way to take a step back. And we're so much better as a team. We're a lot more mature. But still, you know, when you got so many first-year guys, getting them to play with the aggression, the effort that's necessary for us to win is not, you know, kind of it's been a little frustrating, to be honest with you, because every time we taste it, you would think that they would say, but for whatever reason, there's always, it's just too many first-year guys, and there's always a guy that kind of just takes it for granted, and it just hasn't allowed us to be as consistent as we need to be, so we can go beat Tennessee and Mississippi State, the second and third place team in our league, on the road. I'm not sitting here saying that because we stink. No, that's not what I'm saying. If you want to beat the second and third place team on the road, like we've lost the last 2 road games, you have to be a little bit more consistent with what I'm talking about, and it's a little frustrating.
Frank, kind of an unusual senior night Wednesday with 2 fifth-year guys, but were first years in the program, and then, of course, TaMarcus as well. Just what have those guys brought to the program, and both their first years and then Timo being here for a while?
Yeah, I wasn't real happy with either one of those 2 guys after the Mississippi State game. But that's just a snapshot. That's not what they've done as far as since August when they both showed up. You know, neither one was here in the summer. They both showed up for the first day of class, and, you know, whenever that was, 3rd week of August sometime. So from where they were at then to where they at today, they've changed their bodies. They've committed to taking pride in our program, to accepting the responsibility that comes with wearing the uniform because of the guys before them, what they've done. They haven't run away from it. I wish I could coach them for another year, you know. It's and then T. Blanton, one of my all-time favorites, man. You know, how that kid even tried to play with the hip situation he had and never asked for a day off, never. And is he 22 now, 21? 21. To have hip replacement at that stage of your life, all for the love of that uniform, the love of the game, that's as selfless as anybody can be. He's you know, he's a winner. He's got a spirit like, not too many people have a spirit like him. He's something else.
Frank, this stuff we've seen in the Yahoo reporting about Chuck Martin and P.J. Dozier, had you heard any of that prior to the reporting? Were you aware of that in any way prior to the reporting?
I kind of figured when I sat here, since I haven't seen you at a press conference since October, that you weren't here to ask me about the Mississippi State game. I just gut feeling. There is no. Are you insinuating Chuck Martin and P.J. Dozier are connected?
No.
That's what you just asked me.
No, I asked you if you'd heard any of the stuff in the reporting prior to it being reported.
Like, what are you asking me a question? Because I read the paper, so what are you asking me? What are you insinuating that I heard? Because I've already spoken about PJ's situation. I think we've made that pretty clear. So
I apologize. I didn't see that.
Right, that's because you haven't been to a press conference since October. But let's go ahead. Ask me the question again, but don't ask me what I've heard. I've heard what you've read. I don't deal with the FBI. Unfortunately, they don't call me like every week to ask me what I think or share information with me. I wish they did, so I wouldn't feel ignorant up here. I've got zero dealings with agents. I don't mess with agents. I don't care for agents. Anyone that asks me about agents will tell you that I am the biggest anti-agent coach in the business. I don't like how they operate. I don't care for what they stand for. I have one, and I don't get along with mine. That tells you how little I like agents. So once I said that, I've got, here, you take my phone. You take it right now. I'll give you my Kansas State number. You can go through my phone. You'll never find an exchange, text message, email, phone call to any agent other than mine. So, and I conduct business that way. So now, to your question, what are you trying to get me to answer? Because I'll answer whatever you want me to answer. I don't understand what you say if I've heard. Heard what?
That P.J. Dozier received $6,000 some odd through Chuck Dawkins and ASM, or that Chuck Martin had been contacted while at Indiana by the Dawkins guy.
Thank you. Now we're talking. I read the same article you read. It's not like I got different information. Was PJ's name on those ledgers? I saw it in the article. They put the ledgers, or I read everything. I didn't see his name on the ledgers. Did you guys see it on the ledgers? Well, then why not? They printed everyone else's name. I know what I read. I didn't see PJ's names on the ledger. I read the article and saw PJ's name on there. Listen, we've created, and I'm going to answer Chuck's part too, okay? We've created a system, I'm a part of it, over the last 20, 25 years, where recruiting has gone from building relationships to walking on hot coals. It's the difference now. It's no longer about building relationships. It is about trying to gather as much information as you can to try and figure out whether or not to recruit. PJ and his family are unbelievable. I don't know. I answered this back then. What that family's done for this school and what this school's done for that family, I would be shocked if they would do anything that would go against the integrity, the values that Ray Tanner, Harris Pastides, and this university stands for. I would be shocked, or else he wouldn't come to school here, because they know it firsthand. I'm sure PJ's going to have his moment where he speaks publicly on this. I can tell you he's crushed that his name has been drug into this nonsense. I'll be surprised. I'm not the investigator. I'll be surprised if he's in the middle of any of this stuff. Surprised, okay? Chuck, I've been an assistant coach. Because of the landscape that we've created, people want us to recruit McDonald All-Americans. Right? You guys will ask, hey, recruit this. If Phil was here, he'd want to know about 27 different guys that are claiming that we're recruiting them. Why are we not more aggressive or whatever it may be, okay? You have to do your legwork in recruiting. You have to have conversations with people. If you don't, then you're going to get backed into a corner that you don't want to deal with. I've been in a hotel room, not here, at the other school, and a guy put me on the spot, started telling me about how much money he spends on this and this and this. I just stopped him cold in his tracks. I said, stop. Let me explain something to you, brother. I did what you do for 16 years. I never asked anyone for a penny because I do this for the kids. I don't do it for my benefit. Don't ever dial my number again. Walked out of the room.
This was a high school coach?
No. Okay. So what I'm trying to tell you is I'm not going there. I'm not doing that. I don't care what gets reported. I get it. I'm not going there. No one I deal with is going to go there. And if they do, they won't be with me very long. Now, I get blamed as the head coach with this new law that was passed for anything anyone does. How do you expect me to control what happens at 11 o'clock at night? How do you expect me to control what happens in whatever city in America, not in Columbia, South Carolina? How do you expect me to control what happens in the summer between a kid's junior and senior year in high school, between person A and person B, who I have nothing to do with? How do I control all that? How am I supposed to be responsible for those things? That's the part of the business that we have created that makes recruiting a very complicated thing right now. Second part with Chuck, when you have good players on your team like they had at Indiana, you know who calls the assistant coaches every single week? For what? Oh, imagine that. You know, so what are you supposed to do? Say, hey, don't ever call me again. Hang up on the guy. No, that's not the way it works. So, you know, as an assistant, I took calls from a gazillion agents because it's part of your job. Head coach don't want to talk to agents in the middle of the season, man. Please. We ain't got time. I don't have time for that nonsense. That's part of the assistant coaches. They got to talk to these agents. You know, Chuck's a man of family. Chuck's a man of value, a man of character. Oklahoma City wouldn't have hired him. Tom Crean wouldn't have hired him. And I wouldn't have hired him if he's got a shady reputation. Chuck's a good man. Chuck's not in the middle of this in any way, shape, or form. I don't care what's reported.
Can you, A, can it be fixed? B, can you win at the highest level in college basketball clean anymore?
Yes and yes. Here's the biggest problem we got right now is that we're claiming college basketball to be dirty. It's not dirty, man. There's some dirty people in college basketball. It doesn't make college basketball dirty. We've created a system, like I just explained, where recruiting's gotten complicated. Recruiting is not, let me repeat this again, because it's the biggest difference in recruiting from when I first left high school basketball in the late 90s to today. It's no longer a relationship building process. It's no longer about trying to kind of, I still do it that way, but it's not, you're more in an information gathering kind of thing. So you have to speak to 9 million different people so you can get as much information as you can. It's not, recruiting is not fun right now. Anyone tells you differently is lying to you. It's not fun right now. Recruiting it's exhausting because of all the different conversations that you're forced to have. And you better have them, because if not, you're going to get caught by surprise at the 11th hour. And then if you did, you wasted your time. So you have to have conversations so you can figure out, do I want to stay in this recruitment or do I not want to stay in this recruitment? Do I want to stay in it? But then that means that, and it's not all about cheating now. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. There's just some people that they just want to stay on your phone and just have conversations like every single day, and it's time consuming. It's no longer, like, I'll give you an example. The guy that's taking care of me in this business more than anyone was Bob Huggins. I met Bob Huggins through recruiting, and it had nothing to do with what he can do for me or I can do for him. He came to recruit my players. Because he recruited my players, he watched me run a basketball practice. Because of that, we developed a friendship. Over the years, never offered me a job for a kid, never offered me a cup of coffee for a kid. On the contrary, it was about relationships. It was about how honest he was with me and I was with him. So at the end of the day, we've developed a friendship where if there's anything closer to being brothers than what we have, just because of that ball in recruiting. If not, we never cross paths. And right now, it's not like that, man. Recruiting's different. So can it be fixed? Yes. Yes. You know, why isn't any other sport attacked the way college basketball's attacked? Why? Football makes them stay out 3 years. Why don't anyone go after football for making them stay out for 3 years? Why? Because they're too young? Oh, come on, man, give me a break. Too young, really? So that means that because they're young in basketball, it's different? I don't want women's basketball. I stay for 4. Baseball 3. Hockey 3. Come on, man. Now there's some things. Where have I flipped? I can't speak for others. Where have I flipped? I think we have to engage the agents, and it breaks my soul to say that, but I think we got to engage the agents. I think us trying to act like the agents have nothing to do with things is phony baloney. They got more to do in our sport than in any other sport. So we need to engage the agents. I've been pretty adamant for a while that we got to do more for players. I don't believe in salaries. They want to make money playing the game. They need to go take a job. That means where they actually pay taxes, and like I did when I was 15 years old. Go take a job. Money's what you want, not college. I never wanted to go to college. I wanted to play ball. I didn't want to go to college. I couldn't play ball. But somehow, some way, to have a chance to continue to play, I had to go to college. As soon as I hurt my knee, I quit college. So college, for me, I had no interest in college. So as soon as basketball got out of the way, I went and got a job. So people want to play for money, go. I'm tired of people picking on basketball like we're the one sport that's got problems. Do we have some issues? Yes. We got to adjust some things. Like, why aren't they allowed to make money off their likeness? I've been public about this. We're an educational institution, okay? So let's teach these guys how to make money. Let's control. So you're the star player, and I'm that seventh string offensive tackle I always talk about. No one wants my autograph. Everyone wants yours, though. They can put 100 of my jerseys on the racks for $1 each. They're not going to buy them. They put your jerseys up there for $100 each. They're going to sell out. You should go make money on that. Why are we depriving people on that opportunity? You know, why? Because you're more popular than me? So what? That's America. When they talk about fair market value, that's fair market value. So now let's figure out a way to educate our young people. Because when I was 18 years old, you gave me $100, I can tell you where 90 of it was going in the garbage. I'm just telling you. So let's educate them. How are you going to control this money? How are you going to spend this money? Let's teach them how to be philanthropic. We're in an age right now as a country where all we speak about is, oh, we want to like keep the rich rich and the poor poor. Well, let's teach these kids. You got a chance to be a multimillionaire? Let's teach you to do what LeBron James learned to do when he was 30 years old, not 18 years old. I applaud LeBron. What he's doing is incredible. I wish every pro athlete that makes the money he makes does what he does. Because it's about educating the young, about giving them opportunities how to get to a college campus, which is the biggest difference in the inner city. Inner city kids don't understand what it is to be on a college campus, for the most part. They don't understand. And the second they get a taste of it, they love it because it teaches them that you can succeed. But LeBron started that when he was 30 years old. If he would have been taught that at the age of 18, imagine the impact he would have been making by now. He's already making an impact like no other. Imagine the impact he's been making. Imagine the more athletes did that. So let's teach them how to be philanthropic. So let's say they sell, you know, 500 grand of your jersey while you're in college. You deserve your cut. But you know what? So does the University of South Carolina, because our fan base is not an NBA fan base. I don't care whether you play, I play, he plays, or she plays. South Carolina fans are coming for South Carolina. They're not coming for you. And that's the difference that we have in uniqueness in college athletics. Our fan bases are alums, our students, and our communities. They're not NBA fans. You put an NBA team down the block from here, I guarantee you our attendance don't budge. It is what it is. Can it be fixed? Yes. We got to figure out ways to do more. But we're not a corrupt business. Clean coaches. We went to the Final Four last year. And I'm telling you, we're clean. Am I perfect? No. Have I made mistakes? Yes. But I conduct business the right way. And we just went to a Final Four. I've got a lot of my peers that I got unbelievable amount of respect for because I know they work the right way. And it's, I didn't mean to go on for 20 minutes, but we got to regroup on some things. We got to regroup on some things, and we got to get the people that don't. Do I agree with all the rules that are in place right now? No, but they're in place. We need to respect them, because here's where we're getting confused. If we change the rules just because we got some people working outside the rules, and then the outside people think that like, oh, that's not fair, that's not fair. So now you change the rules. Do you think it's not going to be corrupt once you change the rules? You think there's not going to be people who are going to try and do things your own way? Heck, think about what we're doing as a society. We're trying to legalize more drugs rather than eliminate drugs. Think about that. Think about that for a second. Instead of eliminating drugs, we're trying to figure out a way to legalize more drugs. How stupid is that? We're trying to get people to think better, to be more educated, and we're more concerned with legalizing more drugs rather than eliminating drugs. But I don't care how many drugs you continue to, because we tried to eliminate liquor and cigarettes back in the 1920s. Help me out. I'm not very good at history, but am I pretty accurate with that? How good that work? How good that work? So we put everything back in. And now in the 1980s, and all of a sudden cigarettes and drunk driving, that's when I was a kid. So, you know, and then as soon as, now everyone's all caught up with this new wave of whatever, the pain pills that everyone's dying over, which is sad. You know, those were called Quaaludes when I was a kid. Were they legal? No. But I had friends die of overdose of Quaaludes. So what I'm trying to tell you, man, is it's always something else. Always. So I don't care how you change the rules. You're always going to have people who want to work outside the rules. That doesn't mean you change the rules. Penalize the people who don't want to respect the rules. But we do have some rules that need to be adjusted.
One more, and forgive me. Can a head coach go to put his head on the pillow in this current climate and feel like everything's okay? Or because of all the stuff that you talk about, you're responsible for everything that's ever happened for any of the people in this program? Do you just have to say, I do the best I can, and the chips are going to fall where they may?
I sleep like a baby every night based on how I run my office and the people that I have around me. I sleep like a baby every single night. Am I perfect? No. Anyone that tells you that every head coach knows everything that happens in your program, that's wrong. That's how do I control some yahoo driving into Columbia, South Carolina at 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday in the month of May and meeting one of my players for dinner? How do I control that? Should I hire like a PI to follow all our guys around? Should I tap their phones, put little hidden cameras and to see what they do and who they speak with 24 hours a day? I have no control over that. I recruit a player, from a different country, which I have. How do I know that there's not somebody visiting his family in that country? And how do I control that? But now I can tell you what I do is I speak about my values and what I want our program to be about with our staff and our players all the time. I'll tell you what I've done. Every time I've had a chance to hire, I haven't hired those hot, popular names that everyone thinks are the hottest things in sliced bread in the world of recruiting. I've hired people that are family people. I've hired people that have values, people of integrity, people of character. It's what I've always done. It's what I will continue to do because that's what I'm about. So I don't want to go home at night and not be able to sleep because I think someone's working behind my back. I want to go home at night and know that the people I hired are working to support the values, the character, the direction that I like to run my program in, which goes hand in hand with the kind of things that Ray Tanner and Harris Bastides believe in, the board of directors of this university believes in. I said this 3 years ago or 2 years, whatever it was. Some of you guys take what I say when it fits what you think and use it, but you don't take what I say when it fits reality and use it all the time. I told you 2 years ago we went to the NIT and this school rewarded me with a new contract. How many other universities would give a guy that went to the NIT after his first year for the first time, in today's day and age, a new contract? I told you guys that. So that's the kind of respect I have for Ray Tanner and Harris Bastides and our board of directors. I would not bring anyone in here that would embarrass them because those people believe in me. It's not the way I work. But yes, I can't speak for other coaches. I sleep like a baby. I can't sleep at night trying to figure out why we lost at Mississippi State, why we couldn't execute that last play of the game better. That doesn't let me sleep. I can't sleep at night trying to figure out why is it that Wesley Myers can go for 17 points and then take 2 shots the next game. I can't sleep at night trying to figure out how Justin Minaya and Frank Booker combined 1 for 14. What could I have done better so they got better shots because we need those 2 guys to score. But as far as the integrity, the character, the values of the people that I've hired, that we've recruited, my head goes on the pillow and I sleep like a baby.
Coach, here in the back, first of all, appreciate your honesty on the matter. In basketball sense, you just kind of talked about what's keeping you up at night, the 2 steps forward, then the 1 step back. Mm-hmm. With only a few games remaining in this season, how do you kind of approach each challenge with the guys knowing that there's kind of a finality in the way? Like last year at this time, you could see like there was a lot of basketball in front. You could look at March Madness. Now it's kind of like if we don't really find a way here, it could all be coming to a close real soon.
I don't worry about that. Heck, if we would worry, Joe, if I'd worry about the way you framed your question today and compared it to the way some people framed their questions a year ago, like a year ago because we had lost a couple games, it was like the end of the world's coming. We're never making the NCAA tournament. You guys are a letdown. My God, why, da-da-da-da. Those are the questions I was answering at this time last year. I didn't worry about that then. I don't worry about that now. I have a responsibility to come in there today and help our guys take advantage of today and get better. It's the way I do things. I don't worry about March and February. I don't worry about the 28th when it's the 26th. We've played good ball our last 4 games out. Think about this. We've played the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 5th place team home and home. No one else in our league can claim that. We're 5 possessions away because Tennessee made some free throws at the end when we had to foul. 5, 6 possessions away from sweeping Tennessee from beating Mississippi State at Mississippi State and beating Texas Tech. That's how close we are to being able to play in the NCAA tournament. So instead of worrying about if we fail, there's nothing in front of us, we're that close. Why don't we just worry about beating LSU and then take the next day? And then we'll, unless something happens, knock on wood, we're going to be in St. Louis next week. We get an opportunity to play games next week. Just go play the next game and keep worrying about getting better. And the day they tell us, like, thank you for your efforts, but your services are no longer needed this year, then we'll quit playing.
You mentioned a lot of first-year guys on this one team, and I know a lot of the way that the roster came about was stuff that's beyond your control. What was this season as far as a lesson in roster construction and how you might change that going forward or adapt?
To the question earlier about what I'm responsible for. I'm responsible for our roster every single year. My biggest decisions every year is who I offer scholarships to. That is my biggest decision, because you can't take the wrong kid. You can't take who's popular if he don't fit who you are. How do I control 5 kids running around with BB guns at midnight? How do I control that? Seriously, I'm not trying to be a smart. How do I control that? That's out of my hands, unless I hire permanent chaperones to be around these guys 24 hours a day. I'm being honest with you. I've got no control. So now that's one recruiting class that pretty much 3 of them get wiped out because of that. A 4th, who had been with us for a year earlier, transfers at the end of the following month. How do I control that? I didn't ask Marcus Stroman to leave. I know people think that you recruit the wrong guy or they get here, well, they're not quite good enough, and I call them and I say, you got to go. I don't work that way. I'm telling you, you can ask any of the players, I don't work that way. Now, if they don't do things the right way, I'm not playing them. And if they don't change, then they're not keeping their scholarship. I need them to be human beings, not basketball players. And when I mean they get 4-year scholarships, they can stay, they're just not going to play. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a pretty simple decision. You know, I took a young man in Corey Holden, expecting to sit out last year, expecting P.J. Dozier, that there's a very good possibility, because I know how good he is, that he's going to be an NBA guy. Because I do have assistants that speak to the agents. And the agents are telling us, like, Frank, this is what the NBA teams are doing. And when my season comes to a close, I start talking to GMs. I understand that, you know what, this guy's got a good chance. So I take a guy in Corey Holden, sit him out, because I'm prepared to have to replace. How do I control that he's going to destroy his knee and then tear his hamstring like the worst possible tear you can have the year he starts playing? How do I control that? I have no control over that, you know, and you know, if I were to hit rewind, could I have done something better so Rolf Felder doesn't get in trouble in the middle of summer? I don't know. I don't know how I do something different in that moment. But I can tell you what I would never do different. As much as we've needed a personality and a point guard this year, I'm not playing him. I told you then, and I'm telling you now, I'm not doing it. Now, he's my guy, and I'm going to help him through this. And as long as he does right, he's got me in his corner. But right now, basketball is not an option because he didn't handle some things the right way. So from the whole roster standpoint, you know, it's – and I'm going to be off on the numbers here, but like 730, 780, and 800 over the last 3 years, transfers in Division I basketball. It's part of the deal, man. Part of the deal. And now we're going to open it up for people to transfer. Like at the end of games, you're shaking hands with players, and you're going to have people talking to the guy at the end of your bench that doesn't play. Hey, man, I know Frank don't like you. You know I loved you. Think about it. That's what we're opening the door to taking place. And you're going to have guys transferring from program A to program B after playing a game. That's where we're headed. And, you know, but the roster part of it is that's my responsibility. We got to take the right guys, and that I like sit at home and say we're going to take 2 grad transfers like at this time last year. No, No, that was something that as the spring kind of started evolving was part of the conversation as to what we needed to have because of circumstances. KG, Felipe, if Eric Cobb was still here, those two guys probably aren't playing. I'm just telling you the truth. Jason Cudd would probably be a redshirt if Eric Cobb was still here. But he's not. So you got to play with what you got. And we got real good dudes that are young that are trying to figure it out.
Andrew and then Colin.
Frank, this is kind of on a philosophical
boy.
question as well. But you had tweeted.
That's got me going this morning, man.
But you had tweeted about a scene you saw at a fourth grade basketball game.
How about that?
Yeah.
Sad.
Could you expand on that, and how often are you seeing this now? And
Sad. Think about this, man. There's two guys refereeing a fourth grade game on a Sunday morning. What can they possibly be making? $20 a game? I used to do that. I used to make $12 for 10 and under, 15 for 15 and under, and 17 or 18 bucks for high school age kids. Okay? So on a Sunday morning, instead of being in church, those guys are out there trying to make a couple bucks to pay their bills, feed their families. Do you think they really care what fourth grade team wins? Do you really think that they sat at home and said, I can't wait to officiate that game tomorrow because that one team, I can't wait to get that 10-year-old kid and embarrass him in front of people? Do you really think that's what they're doing? You know, but it's out of control, man. It's embarrassing. You know, I'm not into telling people how they should do. See, there's a lot of people that want to tell me how I should do my job. I signed up for the job, so it is what it is. I don't go around telling people how to do their jobs. I just pay attention so I can try and do my job better. I've got my opinions on how I should be a father. I've got my opinions on how I should be a coach. I pay attention to as much as I can so I can do my job better, not to tell other people how to do theirs. I know this. I'm the most animated coach that you've probably ever seen when my team's playing. I go watch my kids play. I don't say boo. I don't wave my arms. I don't try to coach my kids. With all due respect to most parents out there, I probably know more about basketball than most of them, okay? But I sit in the stands and I don't say a word. I don't try to tell my kid how they should play. You know what I tell my two boys when they come ask me, Dad, why are you asking me, man? I didn't run your practice. Go talk to your coach. But don't talk about your coach in front of me, man. Because if you are, then you're not playing basketball. You don't understand why you didn't play better? Go talk to your coach. I'm not your coach. I'm your dad. Somebody disrespects you, then I'm here. If you fail, good. Deal with it. I'm going to help you get up. But don't come talk to me about coaching. I do this for a living, man. I'm not going to criticize a guy that's trying to help you. And then the other part. So that's the officials. Do you think those coaches coaching fourth grade kids are making any money? So there's someone that's giving of their personal time on a Sunday for free to help other people's children, yet we're going to have the adults in the stands yelling obscenities at the officials, criticizing every decision the coach makes, yelling at the kids like the kids, they're 10 years old, man. Like if they were LeBron James and Dwayne Wade playing in the NBA Finals, like they know how to handle their coach over here and their parent over here yelling at them. Then we wonder why kids get confused, man, why kids rebel, why kids don't know how to listen. How can you listen when you got so many voices in your head at the same time? You know what life teaches you? Shut things off. And that's the part that's frustrating to me. It's if someone wants to be so animated when there's a basketball game going on, then go coach the team. Go run practices. Show up every day at 6 o'clock at night and run an hour and a half practice. And then you got your team to coach. Or be an assistant coach. Sit on the bench. Yell all you want. I don't care if people on the bench yell at my kids. I got two boys. If they don't deal with my children, my children won't be on their team. My child acts up or doesn't do things the way that they're expected to do things by them, not me. And they let it happen, I'm taking my son off the team. I want my son to be challenged. Both of my boys, I want them to grow up. I want them to understand what life's about. But that's the part that's sad, man. Then we wonder why kids disrespect teachers. You know, how is a kid going to respect a teacher when the adults don't respect the other adults? You know, in front of the kids. Now, you and me, as two adults, we can sit down in a room now. We can have a real conversation. And I can sit there and say, oh, man, why are you doing this to my son? Da, 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 da. That's a different animal. But in front of the kids, you know, for an official who's trying to make $20 on a Sunday morning so he can feed his family, pay his bills, it's out of control. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
Frank, I guess kind of sticking with the philosophical stuff, but you mentioned the recruiting process being kind of exhausting. Is there anything you would like to see change in the recruiting process, or is it just, I guess, getting more selective with the guys you do recruit?
When you used to, here's one of the neat things, because I thought everyone did it like my high school coach, okay? Because that's who I worked for in high school. And I get to college, and one of the first guys I went in to go recruiting was Bob Hurley. And he walks in, he's like, you don't want to coach him. That guy will never work. He's going to drive you nuts. Recruit him. So you knew. Dwayne Notice. 5 years ago, is it? Yeah, 5 years ago, almost to the date, I called Jerry Quinn, who my son's playing for now. I called Jerry Quinn. I said, Jerry, Matt Fager says he likes Dwayne Notice a lot. He said, Frank, I don't know what's wrong with people. They won't give him a shot. Dwayne Notice is about all the right things. He's your kind of guy. Done. Done. I flew up to see Dwayne, spend time with him. I flew up again, sat down, we visited, brought him on a visit. He liked us, we liked him, we took him. You know why? Because it was about a relationship that Jerry and I established back in the 90s where he tells you the truth. Right now, you got to gather all this information so you can figure out who is telling you the truth. Because there's so much conversation out there that's exhausting. And there's a lot of people that have a lot of opinions, but not too many of them are telling you the truth. And chasing down who tells you the truth is exhausting. And here's what happens, to go back to your original question. As an assistant coach, you're having these daily conversations with all these different people, and when you finally get to the person that's telling you the truth, they might tell you what you don't want to hear. Now you've got a choice to make. Do I stay in this recruitment, or now that I know what it is, do I need to get out of this? I want guys that when they get that answer, yo, Frank, forget it, we're going in a different direction. And now and sometimes I know, because I've been in this business for so long, and I've been on it on both sides. So I've got people on the high school side that I have great relationships with that I don't agree with how they conduct their business. But that doesn't mean as people, we didn't sit down and drink a beer together back in the day, okay? That doesn't mean I'm doing business with them. You understand what I'm saying? And one of my guys will come in, hey, and I'll tell, no, I'm not messing with that guy. But Frank, I'm not messing with that guy because at the end of the day, this guy's going to be involved, and I'm not messing with that guy. And here's something else, and I'm going to add this to your question and to follow up on yours. We've created an environment right now where we're trying to say that everyone's a crook and guilty and the business is all messed up. Now, let me ask you guys this. I'm not into defending the NCAA. It's not what I do. I'm not anti-NCAA, and I'm not like the pro-NCAA guy. I think the NCAA is needed. I think we've got to be more creative with how we're doing things compared to how we used to do them when every school got a check for $100 grand, not $29 million or whatever it is, okay? The NCAA doesn't have subpoena power. The NCAA can only speak to me or my assistants. The NCAA can only speak to players when they're on campus, not while they're in high school. The NCAA can go up to every shoe company, every agent, every runner, every kid in high school. No one's going to speak to them. They have no desire to speak to them, let alone tell them the truth. Now, when they show up here on campus, yeah, the kid has to speak. So now every time the NCAA has held someone out because they suspected that something went wrong in the high school recruitment, all these experts that are out there criticizing our business right now, what do? What do they say? Let them play. What's wrong with the NCAA picking on these kids? Well, they're trying to do their job. They obviously smelled something was up. So, you know, we can't turn around now and act like they haven't tried. You know, but what happens is that the people that are involved now, I bet you they're listening to our press conference right now, and it's not through this. It's through this phone. That's the access they have, and every bit legal. And so now everyone's uncomfortable because of that. But when the NCAA tried to hold people out because they were not comfortable with whether it was an academic deal or a recruiting deal, everyone says, come on, man, why are they picking on that kid? What's wrong with them? If I'm lying, call me on it.